welcome to a new episode of Local Focus. I'm your host, Sebastian Noel. We are in the midst of basketball season here on Proview Networks. Of course, you check out our schedule at ProviewNetworks.com. But even though we're in the middle of basketball season, couldn't pass up the opportunity to bring in my guest that I have with us today. Probably, if you're making a list of the most undercovered, underappreciated, and underrated athletes in the state of New Mexico or the city of Albuquerque, this guy's right on the top. Probably on the top, and that's Albuquerque High's Javi Cooper. Javi, welcome to the program, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This is not, however, your first appearance on Proview Networks, is it?
It's not.
Okay, so if we can go way, way back in the time machine and just check out this classic that we were able to dig up here. That is a thing of beauty, man. I don't know if Alden has a chance to throw that up next to your current face at any point. That I would love to see then and now. It's like the equipment manager took my uniform and gave it to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yes,
that is the biggest uniform. But there you go. You saw the little before and after. But talk about that team, though, man. You guys were like every stud in the city was on the same team at that time.
Yes, we were nationally ranked.
Look at that. Look at that before and after. That's amazing.
Yeah, we were nationally ranked. We've been playing together since we were like 7. You know, that team was really good. I love that team. They taught me all my stuff. They taught me all I know. Yeah.
You still keep in touch with all those guys? Are you guys
Yes.
pretty tight still?
Yes, I still talk to all of them. I talk to Exodus, Strat every day, every time I get a chance.
What about like in the off season? Is there ever like a reunion? You guys work out together? How does that all look like?
We do not work out together, but we do keep in touch. We do like go follow up. We go to each other's games. We go to their basketball games, and we keep in touch.
What was it? You know that obviously. How old were you in that picture?
I was about like 10, I think. I was close. It was.
Yeah. So at that point, with all that talent, all those guys at that age, I'm sure you guys thought you were just going to conquer the world at some point, right?
Yes, we did. We didn't know we were that good until we started playing games and started beating teams by a lot, and then we just started clicking.
And then you all kind of went your own ways, right?
Yeah.
And so talk about that. You ended up at Albuquerque High.
It's just the way everybody was like, oh, let's go to Albuquerque High. So I was like, okay. So I went to Albuquerque High and just started my journey from there.
And then you look around and you're like, wait, where's everybody else?
Yeah.
That kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been a pretty special, pretty dominant team, right?
Yes, sir.
What were some of your memories that really stand out on that team with those guys?
When we went to the Super Bowl against Sandia, we played Sandia. I had a 50-yard touchdown to win the game, and that really stood out to me.
Now, you guys actually, for being a local team, you guys did some traveling with that group as well, right?
Yes, we went to Vegas, we went to Texas, we went to Arizona, and we beat a couple of those good teams, those nationally ranked teams.
Like when I was 10, the only time I went to Vegas was when my parents took me to Circus. It certainly wasn't for anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So that had to be pretty. Did you realize how cool or special that was at that age to be traveling with your football team?
Not at that age. Until I got older is when I realized, all those good memories, those all hit.
Right. Now you're still on a travel team now, right? Talk
Yes.
about the New Mexico Heat a little bit.
Yeah, it's a really good team. We have really good players. We have our coach is Coach IB. Yeah, he's a really good coach. He's a defensive coordinator at where is it?
Didn't he go to West? No.
He played for New Mexico UNM.
Right, he was at UNM, and then he went to, I don't remember what school he's at now. But so the purpose of that team coming together was kind of to get some more, right? Because basketball travels during the offseason. Baseball, which we'll get to, travels during the offseason, right?
Yes.
But there wasn't really that opportunity in football in the state of New Mexico, right?
Yeah, there's not any like travel teams or good like 7-on-7 teams here. So we just travel all over the place. We go to Arizona, we go to Florida, we go to all those places that have those 7-on-7 tournaments and play.
And how did you get involved in that? How did you kind of talk about that? How that team came together?
The team came together. He was like, he tweeted it, and I was like, one of my friends, Chris Johnson, yeah, he told me about it, and he told me to go to the tryouts, and I tried out.
Just talking about this travel and this Heat team, and you have a very unique perspective on this because you also play baseball.
Yeah.
And of course, baseball, that's like the ultimate travel sport, right? Like
yeah.
that will suck any parent's bank account dry. You do enough traveling for baseball, right?
Yeah.
But football, there wasn't really always, that doesn't really exist. So how are the off seasons different in those two sports for you as an individual?
The off, baseball is more like, you don't have an off season. It's like year round. Football is like, you play this season, and you get to like do that, and then you just get right into baseball. So there's really not an off season for me.
So like right now, you're between football and baseball. So what are you doing right now?
I'm doing football and baseball. I'm doing the 7-on-7, and my team is about to go to Arizona to play in a baseball tournament.
So, and is that pretty difficult to kind of sharpen your skills at both at the same time?
No, not really, because I've been doing it all my life, so I've been getting used to it now on.
What's different about the two? Like as far as whether it's workouts, what's different in the weight room between football and baseball?
I really don't hit the weight room for baseball. I just go into the batting cages and just keep my swing up.
Okay.
Just able to hit every day.
And then football, what does your regimen look like during football?
I'm lifting 2 times a day, twice a day, and getting bigger and stronger and faster.
So would you say the two complement each other, or are they kind of pretty independent?
They're kind of independent, yeah.
And I'm trying to think. There's not a lot of guys that do football and baseball, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would probably know better than I. Are there any other that I'm just missing off the top of my head? But that's a rare combination, right?
Yeah, that's a very rare combination. I don't know any off the top of my head.
Right, because usually the transition is just, okay, football season's over, now we go play basketball, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. That would be interesting to look up. I mean, I remember a couple of guys at Del Norte when I was going to high school that did football and baseball, but it's pretty rare. We'll talk about that. We'll pick that up after the break. I want to talk about that love of baseball, where that started. We'll get back at it with Javi Cooper right after this timeout.
Rebounded again by Christian Smith. Back outside, here's Page. Emily Biel works her way inside, and the basket is good.
There's Holland out front, weaving his way in and out. Nice spin move, lays it up with the left hand and scores. Wow, that's the athleticism. Picks up the dribble, gives it to Lopez, fires across. Juan, interception, takes it up and in. And coming up with the ball is Pacheco. She takes off. Scoop, score.
And so Julian's going to have to do something or knock down a shot like that.
Yes, a 3 for Roybal on the dish from Julian Chavez, who broke his defender's ankle on that play.
There's Griego with it. They got to go now. There's Holland with it now. Holland off the pick. Will fire a 3 at the buzzer and get it. Count that at the buzzer, and Holland makes a first 3, and that's a timely 3. Los Lunas has led, except maybe for the poked away by Holland. Holland in the open court will slam it home with 2. So Holland gives. Henderson trying to inbound it. Poked away. Steal by Schmidt. Schmidt trying to drive to the basket. Puts it up. Banks it home. Great shot by Schmidt.
Turns it over. Warren the steal. Guest steals it back. Here comes Holland. Takes flight. Yes! Send it in. Jalen Holland. They give it back to Holland on the curl. One more. Even better than the first. The rim rocker for Jalen Holland.
Doesn't matter if it's 2 or if it's 3. Kellen Garris gets the shot. They're up by 2.
We're back with Albuquerque High's Javi Cooper. We were talking about football and baseball and the rare combination that is. So tell us a little bit about baseball. When did that love of baseball start? When did you start playing?
It started when I was about 8. I was on a Little League team, and then my dad put me on a traveling team to love the sport. I've always been able to hit, run, and catch the ball, so it started out there for Little League.
And when did you realize you were pretty good at baseball?
I realized when I was about 12, when I was on that traveling team, my coach was like, "Oh, you can be something, you can be bigger," and so I just been able to hit every day and do my best.
Because at that age, like at 8, 9, 10, like baseball's one of those things that everyone kind of does, right?
Yeah.
But let's be honest, there's not that many that are that good at it, but there's definitely a lot that can just play every weekend, right?
Yeah.
But when you start to separate, that's kind of when that happened for you. All right, when baseball and football have always been kind of the two, or has there been anything else?
Track. I run track with Zia Track Club, and that's how I'm always so fast. I run a 4.5 40. So.
Okay. And you run track with your dad still, right?
Yes, I still do.
Talk about that.
He coaches at Zia Track Club. They go run up at West Mesa, and he's always been there coaching me to run fast, always been yelling at me to run faster, and to get bigger. And, yeah.
So, I mean, now that you're on the baseball scene, let's shift to baseball a little bit. I do want to get to football, but talk baseball first. The 5 tools, it's pretty rare, right? So is that kind of what makes you special? Is that how you always started to stand out, that you had all 5 tools? Or?
Yeah, that's how I always standed out. And I've always been fast, so people always want me to steal bases. So everybody was like, "Oh, this kid's fast." And I steal a base, and then they would all look at me, and then they would go to where I would hit, and then they would just see I'm a good hitter.
So, when can you remember the first year, when they said, "All right, can't have Javi leading off anymore. He's got a big enough stick. We could probably put him in the 3 or 4 hole now." When did that start to happen?
They
started leading you off at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still a leadoff. This year is gonna start to change. I think I'm gonna be the 2nd hole or the 3rd hole to get more hits in, and just to get more runs in.
Now, do you have any baseball players that since you're the 5 tool guy, right? Are there any guys that you look up to at the college level or the major league level where you're like, yeah, that's my guy?
I would say Bo Jackson, because he played both football and baseball.
Okay.
So he's always been there. Yeah.
All right. And you obviously never saw Bo Jackson, right?
No, I never.
So what about baseball players that are playing right now?
Baseball players that are playing Ronald Acuna.
Oh, that warms my heart. As an Atlanta Braves fan, it warms my heart.
Yes, Ronald Acuna.
For you to say that. Yeah, the 5 tools, right? That's the new modern superstar, right? Is he can do everything on the field, right?
Yeah.
And what I love about Ronald, not just because I'm a Braves fan, but just in general, is I like baseball players that look like they're having fun on the field.
Yes.
Like this old school debate, how this is the way it has to be.
Yeah,
don't show up the pitcher. Don't flip your bat. Don't do this. It's such bullshit. It's such a hard sport. Why would you not want to look like you're having fun while doing it? What's your take on all that?
I love the new days. I can bat flip and not get yelled at for it, and that's what I love. It's just the way he plays. It just warms my heart. Yeah.
Baseball is the ultimate old man's game when it comes to rules and regulations,
yeah.
right? That's got to be tough as an athlete, especially a skilled athlete like you, to kind of be in that realm. Where it almost, baseball tries to stifle your individualism. What's your take on that?
It does. It tells you have all these rules that are unwritten rules, and you just have to. Sometimes rules are meant to be broken.
I like that. I like it. I that's what kind of drew me to that Sandia group last year.
Yeah.
Is they look like they're having fun, right? They look like wild guys in the dugout, just having fun. I'm always drawn to that kind of team. That old school method of thinking just doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the Latin influence in baseball has really changed the game, right? Because those guys have fun, and baseball's different.
Yeah. That's where they went to go win. That's why they're a good team.
Now, as popular as it is in Latin America, though, you growing up as a kid, if you're watching baseball, you probably didn't see a lot of familiar-looking faces on the TV, right?
No, I did
baseball
not.
is dying out in the African American community. Why do you think that is?
It's just, people don't look. I couldn't tell you.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's definitely. I mean, it's noticeable,
not,
right?
Yeah, it is very noticeable.
All right, let's shift to the high school season. Now, you guys have pretty decent season, right? Just talk about your season.
We went 3-7. It was a rough season. I feel like we had
Baseball. I'm sorry.
Oh,
baseball. Still, yeah.
We had for our baseball season. We started off a little rough. You know, we went 0-7, and then we started to click and we started to win games.
You guys had a nice little streak in the middle of the season.
Yeah, we had a nice little streak, and then we just started to pick our pieces. We had a rough time pitching, but our hitting was amazing, and we're gonna stick to that this year. And I just feel like we're gonna have a better team.
Last day of the season, take us to that. I mean, you had just a monster day, right?
Yeah.
It's a doubleheader against Los Lunas. Tell us about that.
So our first game, it was a little rough. We lost by a lot. And then our second game, we were like, oh, we're gonna come back and win this game for us. So we started off a little rough, and then we started to come back in the 7th inning. And it was not bases loaded, runners on 2nd and 3rd with 2 strikes, 2 balls, and a kid just served up a fastball down the middle, and I just took it.
And then you had 2 home runs that day, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, don't don't leave
there was
out the other one.
there was another one. It was just a kid threw a curveball down the middle, and I just took it for a ride.
Now, Albuquerque. Now, would you go out to left or center, right?
I was a center fielder.
Okay. Now, where did the home runs go out?
To right.
Okay. See, I don't think I could hit at Albuquerque High because
the
way the field is, I would just be swinging for that building every at bat. I feel like I would drive my coach nuts.
Yeah.
Because that building there beyond the left field wall, I would just be swinging so hard for that building. That's gotta I don't know how you do it there, man. Because that's tempting. And so you end the season on a high note. That's obviously gives you guys something to build on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the way we're coming into the season. We're all going to be able to hit. We're all going to be able to pitch. We're just trying to build that brotherhood to win more games, so we're going out to travel.
Now, you guys staying together to travel, or just a couple individuals?
We're staying together to travel. Our whole team, our whole Albuquerque High team is coming to Arizona with us, and we're going to see how it goes.
So do you think next year could be the year? I mean, I'm not asking you to make any predictions, but, how do you feel about going into next year?
I feel really good. I feel like we have a really talented team. I feel like we could go all the way if we put our mindset to it and we play the way we're supposed to play.
Now, let me just ask you, the elephant in the room, is there enough on that team if I'm managing the other team and every time you bat, I don't just throw up the floor and say put them on? Because that's got to happen, right? You probably aren't seeing a lot of pitches to hit.
Yeah, no, I don't see a lot of pitches. I feel like we have that team where if you put me on the base, yeah, they're going to hit me around. But it's just how we play, and we have to see how it goes.
All right, we'll take a timeout, and we'll get to football with Javi Cooper right after this.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
is a proud supporter of Proview Networks.
We're back with Albuquerque High's Javi Cooper. All right, let's switch to football a little bit. Rough season.
It was a very rough season.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think I will say that the people that I talked to this year, mostly opposing coaches, were nothing but complimentary of Albuquerque High. They said, hey, these guys are disciplined. You can tell they're well coached. They stick to a game plan. So there was a lot of compliments being thrown your guys' way, even though you struggled through a 3-7 season. So I'm going to ask you some tough questions that I don't normally ask, but as a student athlete, man, how is that to go through a 3-7 season? How is that mentally?
It's rough, like it's hard because I'm like, oh, I want to win, but at the same time, I had to just like push through it and just try to work my hardest to get us to that winning point.
Right.
But it just didn't come out the way we wanted to.
I always kind of think to myself in my mind, like, yeah, it must be real easy skipping to practice every morning at 5 when you're undefeated, right?
Yeah.
Versus, you're in the midst of a 3-7 season. What keeps you motivated and what keeps you grinding, especially to those early workouts, those early gym sessions, early practice? How do you keep yourself motivated? And how do you keep, put an arm around the guys and say, let's keep going?
Our team is like a brotherhood, so we love each other to death. It was just us pushing each other to be better, get better places, to just be a brotherhood.
Now, there were those 3 wins, and did you feel the progress? I mean, I from an outsider, it felt like there was progress this year. What did it feel like from an insider, inside the program? Did you feel like there was progress? At the end of the year, is it still 3-7?
No, there was progress. There was always progress. We've always seen it since last season. We always knew we were going to be a good team. We just had to put it in play. So when we won that first game against Orchid Mountain, we were like, oh, yes, we have this team. We just have to play as a team.
And Coach Johnson's pretty big on that. I mean, I know Tim a little bit, not a lot, but I know he's real big on that whole camaraderie piece, right? What's it like playing for Coach Johnson?
He is an amazing coach. I love him to death. He's always pushed me to my limits, and he's always been there on my side since for my all 4 years. He's even been to a couple of my younger days games, and he's always pushed me.
How hard is it to, like, have you had instances where teammates have quit or student, or maybe your fellow students, well, dude, why do you go out there? Why do you keep doing this? Why? Like that, I'm sure that happens, right?
Yeah, it happens. So we just move on. We tell them to leave. We just kick them off, and then we just get back to the grind. Right.
And so now the grind is twofold, baseball and football, right? But
yeah.
What's next for Javi Cooper, you think?
I don't know yet. We're looking at some offers from Eastern, Western, and New Mexico Highlands for football. But I don't know what's next yet.
Now, COVID is something that probably hurt your progress a little bit because COVID would have been your freshman year, right? So no tape there.
Yeah.
Then you have a shortened season as well.
So, yeah.
I feel like whoever gets you is going to get like a totally hidden gem.
Yes.
Like, but do you feel like that's kind of stifled your progress and your recruiting a little bit, is missing out on all that film?
For baseball, yeah, it affected because I didn't get that one season. So I would have had a really good season my freshman year, but I didn't get that, so I had to improve my sophomore year and do better, and it just affected my freshman year.
So what's this process going to look like? I mean, as far as a timetable, when will you make that decision, what you want to do next, who's helping you make that decision?
Coach Johnson and a lot of my parents and a lot of people are helping me decide like where I want to do, what I want to do, and where I want to go. So we're looking into baseball right now, but baseball isn't happening right now, so football is more than likely where I'm probably going to go.
Yeah, you see how much money they're paying all these shortstops this week?
Yeah.
I'd look into baseball too, right?
Yeah.
Like, how crazy is the money being thrown around in baseball right now?
It's very crazy. That's always been my dream, to get all that money. And
like, if I had a son right now, I would, well, first of all, I'd break his right arm, so he would have to throw lefty.
Yeah.
Right? And then, I would make sure he starts pitching, like, immediately. Like, when you were growing up, did you ever, like, I didn't think I would ever see money get to this, where they're signing 12-year deals for $300 million. Like, did you ever think the money would be that big in baseball?
No, I did not. As a kid, I just wanted to play baseball. So I was just like, oh, I want to look into the money, and I just seen it, and I was like, oh, this might go up, but I didn't know it was going to go up that much.
And now there's kind of, well, the weird thing now is, or not weird, but the cool thing now is, there's that potential in college as well, right?
Yeah.
With NIL money. So, like, the game has changed drastically, right?
Yes, it very much has.
So is that even more motivation for high school athletes of today? Like, hey, man, not only do I want to get to college, but
You want money?
Yeah, right? Get paid while you're in college, right?
Yeah, it changes a lot because, kids want to go to D1 schools now and get that money just to play D1, but it's just the way.
I mean, it's good to see, right? Because you're there making that institution all this money with your hard work, your body, your skill set, but the athletes never being able to kind of profit from it before. But now that's totally changed. And I've always wondered if that's in the back of a high school athlete's mind, like, oh, I can make money in college already.
Yeah, it is. It always has, because that's what we want, is to make more money for ourselves, to provide for our families and all that stuff.
So, like, if you stay local here in New Mexico, like, are you thinking, like, all right, I'm going to hit up Sadie's? Let me do maybe Padrell's. Let me do, like, do you already have a list in your mind?
No, I don't. I haven't even thought about that. But if I could, I don't.
Yeah, right? We'll get a list together for you, Javi. We'll work on that on your behalf. You just keep putting in the work, man.
Yes, sir.
I've always been a fan of yours.
Thank you.
Really admire the way you go about your business. And I said to myself, somebody needs to have this. We need to have this kid on, because how has it been that you've been so underrated and kind of like under the radar with your skill set, you think? Is it the Albuquerque High factor?
Yes, it's because everybody thinks Albuquerque High is just trash team that no one wants and no one looks over here. And I think we have the most talented athletes in the state, to be honest. And yeah.
Well, it's been a real pleasure having you, man.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work.
Yes,
we're big Javi Cooper fans here at Proview Networks. And thank you for watching, and good night, everybody.